of the time, it doesn't serve us in any way. In this temperature, what the hell are we doing with glass windows in this temperature? So what that also means is that now we need air conditioners. Meanwhile, there was a way that we used to build, there were materials that we used to use that cooled our environment. I've walked today, there's let me remember, Arusha, Ghana. You walk into the space, there's no air condition on, and it's cool. Because they use the materials that were supposed to be used in this environment.
So here's some perfect examples, right? You have organizations like, I forget the name. I forgot, but they use rammed earth material to build.
Yes.
Because of those.
Yes.
So there's an understanding of how this environment works.
Yes.
That impacts architecture and design.
Yes.
Residences and all that.
Yes.
Right? So I get that part. But let me go back to what you're saying about this piece of, education.
I don't want you to leave there yet.
Okay, so then
because in that building, in that way of building is technology.
It is technology.
Hold on. Now, it's technology that can never be taught by someone who does not come from here, or at least someone who has not come here, interacted with those materials, understands the value in them, and finds out how do we use this material to achieve a certain outcome.
I agree.
So, if all that I'm learning when I go to university to learn building technology is materials coming from outside of here, because technology is what has been written in the books that came from outside of here. All I'm saying is you can't win playing someone else's game.
I agree with you. 100%. You cannot win. What I'm adding, not taking away, what I'm adding to what you're saying is this. In this 2025, I find it disturbing that how is it that in places like Ghana, we have not, with all of what you said about the pyramids, and I hear this all the time in Black community, we came from kings and queens. First and foremost, every person that was enslaved that came from the continent. It's not true. Some were vagabonds, murder, not all, but some of the most ratchet people in society. Yeah. But anyway, going back to this notion of, my question is simply this. How is it that all of this information source that we've come from, building pyramids and scientists today who cannot even acknowledge that Black people built this, so they have theories, people with PhDs say it came from aliens. How is it that this level of indigenous knowledge cannot help us to simply figure out the issues we're having today? I'm not talking about complex. Let's fit people to space. I'm talking about, we have schools in Ghana.
I'll tell you,
with
Tim.
no washrooms.
Tim, I'll tell you.
This one is no technology issue.
Yes, Tim, I'll tell you.
We have roads.
Tim, I'll tell you. It's self-hate. It's self-hatred that was intentionally crafted. And it's the intelligence behind the way it was crafted that I admire. Because centuries down the line, it's still very effective. We've been taught to hate who we are. We've been taught to hate everything about how we are, how we do things. And we've stupidly held on to these beliefs such that we will never, ever, ever go back to doing things this way that we knew how to do to improve. Because you see, progress is, I did it this way today and I've learned to do it better. And I've learned. We have left and abandoned everything that we were about to go and find someone else's way. The only time we come back to what is ours is when this other person tells us it's actually a good thing. I'll give you an example, charcoal. When we were young, primitive people used to use charcoal to brush their teeth.
Yes.
And it wasn't nice.
Yes.
It was like, this is such a bad, who does this after you've gone to school?
Primitive.
Today, Colgate,
charcoal.
Every one of the brands, geisha soap, charcoal is everywhere. It's been repackaged and brought to us, and now it's a nice thing to have.
No, it's very true.
So my answer to you is, for me, there's no mystery around where we are. And you see, when I talk like this, it's not because I'm playing the victim card. We play the part. And every day we make a choice to continue playing that part. in seeing ourselves as less than, in demonizing everything about who we are. It's an active choice and we must own it. Someone did it to us many years ago, taught us that the way we worship was wrong, taught us that we look like the devil because the devil is black and God is white. Taught us all of those things. We've come of age. If we still choose to believe those things, shame on us. So I'm not here to say this one did it to us and that's why we are this, so we are about to cry. No, I'm hoping that we wake up. Let's start with the things which are accessible. Why are we building with glass? For example, that's a choice you make and it's expensive. So if I start to reject all of those symbols of status, for example, like if I'm teaching my child to speak languages, why am I not as invested in them learning how to speak their mother tongue as I am in English? When I meet someone who is speaking very, very intelligently, but they can't speak English.
Here's why. Unfortunately, even this podcast.
Yes, it's in English.
It's in English.
Yes.
Because the audience, whether they are in South Africa.
Yes.
Whether in Australia.
Yes.
Jamaica, the US, the UK.
Yes. Even you and I,
yes,
communicating, we would not be. So Tim, again, I'm not being an ostrich about all of this. We are in this world as it is right now. There are certain rules, there are certain powers at play. All I call for is an understanding of where we've come from, what was done to us with our permission and our active participation, and a game plan. Because if I'm in this world with that game plan, knowing, listen, I'm African, this is what my people were, this is what was done, this is how we played our part. The end goal is dignity and prosperity for every human being. But it starts with my people.
It's true.
Right?
It's true.
So if I have that game plan, then I'm asking my question of, at every point in time, what are the choices that I make so we prosper together? That's it.
And what you're saying is, a part of what you're saying is an education about the past so that it shapes your future and your present. And I agree, because listen, I'm coming from the US where even someone told me this in Ghana. They said that to be woke is a privilege, not the way that people have hijacked the term in the US, but in terms of a consciousness about your economic, political, cultural situation. Because I tell people, here's the truth. There was no part of I have 3 degrees, but there was no part of my educational experience that made me look at myself.
Yes.
It was an experience that I had to actively seek through oftentimes hard interruptions in my life that made me say, man, I had this experience where this person said this person did this to me. Now here's how I'm going to manage it. But here's the biggest thing. The comparison that I was talking about with this guy I was talking with, a Ghanaian, and myself, is that even if you said, hey, Tim, have you read this book? I can go online.
Yes.
The book is there at my doorstep tonight.
Yes.
If I tell someone, go and get Kwame Bediako's book, Theology and Identity. Mm-hmm. In Ghana. Mm-hmm. It would be difficult to find it.
Yes.
If I tell you to go and find John and BT's book. So even some of these African theologians and scholars, access is very difficult. So I understand even the place of privilege that I come from, to where I've been, like, honestly, even when I was in my master's program, most of the books that I did when I did my master's program in Ghana, I carried them from the US. Mm-hmm. There was some in my library, but it was like one copy, someone may have it. So it's this issue of access and this issue of privilege. But for me, it just becomes, I ask this question, and I think this is why it's so great for us to have these different perspectives, because, you know, when I came to Ghana initially, I will admit that my mentality was, man, Ghana's poor. Ghana's poor. But when I moved inside of Ghana, and I realized, no. This place is very wealthy. And I'm not talking about metaphorical wealth.
Yes.
I'm talking about money.
Yes.
The money that passes through this place. And we have people, not just in Ghana, but I think all places around the world, you always have these gaps between the rich and the poor. But for me, I just find it hard. I'm still struggling. I'm struggling with, we always, sometimes I think we romanticize historical African knowledge. But then in 2025, we're still struggling with building a road. Are you serious? Are you serious? Are you telling me we in our minds, we have not figured out how to build a road that will last more than 3 weeks? Or one drop of rain will come and make the thing crumble.
But you know that that's not true, right? You know that the answer to that is corruption. Because the guy building the road never intended for the road to last more than 3 weeks. No. He was given a contract. Yes. He had to pay a big kickback to whoever gave him the contract. So now the money that he has to use to build this road is highly compromised. And by the way, he doesn't care. Yes. So he's just building it. So it's... Go ahead. But there was something that you were saying. I'm trying to remember. There was something that I was... all of this, where do we go with this? Is, first of all, I do not even know enough about our history. I have to actively, me as someone who is so Pan-Africanist, I do not know enough at all about our history, and I have to do the work. Our role in all of this is to ensure that we pass the message on. We have to bring the message on, and it has to be with it has to be structured, it has to be intentional. It's a strategy. The way colonialism and the slave trade happened and the way that we've been demonized, it was a strategy. It was so intentional. Religion was used. All sorts of things were used. We can't sit and think that through some miracle, we will wake up one day and see the lies. No. So for anyone who comes into the truth, it has to be intentional.
Here's a question I have. And I don't know if there's an answer, but I ask this a lot of times to some of my Black American friends, particularly as it relates to, well, this one is a lie. It's not true. I'm going to tell you right now, particularly Christianity in America was not, well, there were aspects of it, but Christianity was not beaten into the enslaved African in America, at least. In fact, it was illegal. It was illegal for them to assemble because they feared that reading the scriptures would make them become liberated. Like Nat Turner, who read the scriptures and said, I got a revelation from God, and he told me to kill all y'all and be free by any means necessary, right? There's no space oftentimes in our traditional Christian discourse to talk about the role of that violent liberator. But anyway, the question I have for them a lot of times is, because they say they beat the, original, religion out of us. My question would be this. These same Africans who came with their foods from West Africa that we see in places like America, like in Ghana we have okra stew. Yeah. And in America we have gumbo. It's the same thing. Red beans and rice, wache, we have salt. Are you telling me food was able to be passed down? Dancing, charismatic expressions of all this was passed down. But yet the religion, for some reason, dissipated. My question then becomes, if that was the case, how strong really was the... I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, I know. But it's just a question I'm posing.
Yes.
How strong or how deeply embedded really, if it was so easily to be able to be beaten out, but yet food was passed down, and all of these other cultural artifacts were passed down historically, how is it that the religion was beaten out of us?
I don't necessarily have an answer to that. I don't. But I think a very powerful...
It's a rhetorical question.
Yes. But so I'm not even trying to answer, but I'm just saying the things that come to mind. A very powerful thing to do is to take the God out of a person. Take the God out of, and I keep saying this, I've said this quite a number of times, to let a person not see themselves as God. It's a very powerful thing to do, because then you break down every other part of them. Here's what I mean. If I wake up today thinking, this next project, this ambition that I have, I'm not enough. Like I'm not enough. I can't do it. I won't even try. I'm a broken person, and I may live and exist and even be 90 years old and all of that. But now I'm no longer the human being that I was. And I think that maybe, again, I'm not trying to answer this question of what happened to the religion, but that there's something that was so deeply broken about us that now we need to repair somehow. When I interact with South Africans, for example, there's pain that I see. That's been passed down. And for them, it's very fresh, right? But it's pain that is so deeply ingrained that they travel the world with it. And for me, it's really hard to look at it. Across the continent, there's something fundamental about who we are that was taken. And we have to make it our business to get it back. Because if anyone in their right frame of mind wakes up knowing this is my life and I have agency, I get to choose what I'm going to make out of this life. And it's not like there's some other people who are better than me and I have to go and beg them for resources.
I'm asking rhetorical questions, but I also am saying that I agree with you 100%. And this may be a little bit biased, but I think that for a lot of places, like you mentioned, like SA and other places around the world, Black America should be a case study.
Yes.
Let me tell you why. Because Black America right now has a $1.2 trillion spending power. Black America has overcome the most vile and vitriolic history that no other group. Now, other groups have experienced horrific things, but no other group has been a involuntary minority that the more we were beaten, the more we expanded. And not only that, have learned how to navigate a system that still doesn't accept us while using some of the tools of this system of slavery and master system to navigate in order to take for ourselves. So for example, if you look post-slavery, right, you have families that were marrying, you have people that were accumulating significant amounts of wealth with relatively little. And so I say it's a case study. So for example, I told somebody this jokingly when I came to Ghana. I said, I'm coming from the future. Here's why. I know what it looks like to be a people that has literally everything at your fingertips, but lack identity. And I know what it looks like to where we have all of this spending power, but yet the things that we spend it on, not all of us, because we are doing incredible in terms of like so many platforms out there that's giving us financial literacy. The doors have been bust wide open. From access to systems in America, like trading, investing, home ownership. But there's a lot of people who fought, bled, and died to give us this space. But I jokingly say I'm coming from the future in the sense of what does it look like to be a people that has everything but have no identity? So when I see the Ghanaian who are striving for money, but then they get money and they spend the money on foolishness. I'm telling you, I'm telling you what it looks like.
Yes.
What it looks like is you have people that know how to manipulate. So even back in the day, there's a documentary called The Art of Selling to the Negro. Because back in the day, advertisers would not sell to Black people. And there was a Black man who was the owner of, I think, Ebony, or I forgot which magazine, I forgot what it was. But he said, you're missing out on their money.
Yes.
So here's what you need to do. So they did research. To get into the psychology of selling. So they made a documentary. You can just go and you look this up on YouTube right now. I think it's called either The Secret of Selling to the Negro or The Art of Selling to the Negro. And it literally breaks down the psychology of the Negro in America at that time and what you need to do to sell to him. So for example, what they used to do was if these two items were for sale, they would say, no, this is the best one. This is only for white people.
Yes.
And they would put this one up front.
Yes.
For Black people. They said, no, don't do that. Put the best one up front because Black people want to feel just as good
as the whites.
And in fact, you're not selling them a product, you're selling them an idea.
Yes.
You're selling them identity.
Yes.
So by buying this, they're saying, when I wear whatever name brands, right, that people wear, it's not that the clothing is so much greater or better. What they're saying is, I am just as good as you.
Yes.
Even to the point to where foolishly we'll go into a store that we're not wanted. They don't really care about us. And then a person will say, I don't think you can afford something here. So something is so messed up in us where we say, you know what? I'm going to buy everything.
Yes.
A foolish person. So when I tell people I'm coming from the future, I'm not talking about incentive elitism. I'm talking about like, I know what it looks like to have all this resources and all this access at your fingertips. But then you still are trying to, as Kanye West said, the people at the top have the lowest self-esteem. You know, the prettiest people do the ugliest thing on the road to riches.
Hey!
But we shine because they hate us, floss because they degrade us. We trying to buy back our 40 acres. And for that paper, look how low we will stoop. Even if you in the bins, you still an N-word in a coupe. So like that just totally, you know, like
that's a summary.
Yeah, that's a summary.
That's the summary.
And so I tell my Ghanaians, like, as you mentioned, I'm not disagreeing with you, like that identity piece is so broken.
Yes.
That even, for example, you take, you know, Gobe, right?
Yes, Gobe.
And originally, you take it in the Wache leaves.
Yes.
You take it in organic material.
Exactly.
But we have so many introductions of plastics and stuff. But now, right, the West is coming to this place of going back to where
we always
were. But what you need in this is you have to have people who are the go-betweens. You have to have the people to articulate, this is why we do it. These are the scientific benefits of it. And here's how we can institutionalize it. You have to have those go-betweens. Because if you don't, what happens is you have people that are being more influenced by the West. They don't hear the indigenous voices enough. So you have this voice. It doesn't matter if this voice is right. It's the loudest. That's what you're going to hear.
Yes.
So you have to have those go-betweens to help you understand this is why we did it this way. And you have people like Awura Abena, Republic of Africa, who are saying, this is why we are wearing the clothes that we wear. We're doing so. We need those people like you who are the go-betweens and who are sensitive enough to reach those people in the diaspora who are the Ghanaians who was born in Ghana but left at 2 years old. And they're stuck between identity issues.
Yes.
But then when they put on Awura Abena, they're not just putting on a piece of clothing. They're putting themselves on.
Yes.
So we need those people like you.
Yes, Tim.
In all facets.
Yes. What I'd like to add to that is, and we need a certain sense of urgency so we don't miss the opportunities to lead. And when we talk about leadership, we're often thinking about political leadership and all, but we are all leading in some shape or form. We are parents, we are aunties, we are uncles, we are employers. We have at least one person who looks up to us, who listens to us, and not to miss opportunities to do the work around identity. For me, if there's any education that's not addressing identity, that's a problem. I'll give you an example. You know Nigerians and what they say to themselves, Niger never carry last. Listen, it's in their blood.
It's there.
They know from a certain place that you cannot take away from them, that the Nigerian will thrive no matter where you take them.
I'm telling you.
And that wherever they are, they have to be the best.
Yes.
If this is what they want, they have to get it. And they've summed all of that into that phrase, Niger never carry last. Yes. You'll be with a Nigerian who is struggling. And the moment they say that to themselves, they become a different human being. For me, I'm looking for those phrases that the African, whether they are home or abroad, is telling themselves to remind them who they are, and so they win.
We say the same thing. When we come, we say the same thing about Ghanaians, though.
Really?
I'm telling you. When we come, a lot of times, from the outside, particularly speaking from the African-American perspective, when we look at the Ghanaian, the way you're speaking of the Nigerian, that's how we speak about you.
I see.
I'm telling you.
That's interesting.
And here's the crazy thing. In Black America, the way we argue amongst ourselves, people on the outside speak that way about us. For example, I remember being in college. Shout out to Texas State University podcast. And I remember being a part of like the Black student, BMU, Black Men United, and Black Women United, and the Hispanic Student Association, and all these organizations. I remember going into the Hispanic Student Association meeting only because they had food. And they had really good food. And I was surprised because when I went to the black student meeting, they were saying, we don't stick together. The Latinos and Mexicans, they stick together. Mm-hmm. When I went to this meeting,
they were saying the same thing.
You know what they were saying? Mm-hmm. We don't stick together. Mm-hmm. As Latinos, we don't, but the blacks, because they're going to be protesting.
Yes.
And I say, interaction, it's even prevalent today because it made me think, sometimes when you're so intimate in a situation, family, community, or whatever, there's this psychology term called confirmation bias.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you think this way about something,
that's what you'll see.
That's what you're going to see. So I think sometimes, even in Ghana, for example, like when I came to Ghana, Ghanaians, we don't trust each other. We tear each other down and blah, 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 blah. When I went to other countries, South African,
everyone was saying that.
Black America, we tear each other down. Because let me tell you, they say Africans, now when they come to America, they stick together. Mm-hmm. You'll see 45 in one house. Mm-hmm. No, but it's the narrative sometimes that we have said about ourselves. That's why I think even this type of, this is not a podcast. This is a movement of African unity. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is.
Yes.
That's why this is so important. Because when we share these stories, we realize a lot of us are telling the same fractured, broken lies to ourselves. But like, again, when we come, we see you as like, oh, well, me, I'm one of them. So I see myself. But like, from the outside, you're saying, wow, look how they are so resilient. They hustle. So it's sometimes the way we see ourselves, and I think we tell these lies to ourselves over and over again. And I see this a lot when you have marginalized communities where we're constantly comparing ourselves to people. Let me ask you something. You as this Pan-Africanist, you as this person who's a veteran in entrepreneurship, somebody watching this right now. 10 years old in Ghana. That is like 14 years somewhere. Somebody watching this that may be a young person who is struggling to find a voice, they look at you and they're like, wow, this woman inspires me. What are some practical things they can do right now, practical, to find their own voice, to be affirmed in their African identity, and start making sure that they are, doing something right here, right now with what they have?
I think first of all, you need some stillness and some reflection time. And if you're a person of faith, and I don't know what you believe in, but I will reference the Bible. When I think of all the things I've come to learn about God, He made full human beings. There was no account where God created some people and they were better than others. For me to be God's child, it means I'm as good as anyone else. For me, that's where it starts from. And so that's where I cannot tolerate anything around, there's this funny thing people say in Ghana, we're like, Nyamishra Obroni. It's like God should bless the white man because the white man makes everything better. I can't, it's not my truth. I'm not better than them, but they are definitely not better than I am. And when we start from that premise, then I have to hold myself accountable to anything less than the best that I am either contributing towards or creating. Because now I know I am capable. I'm just choosing not to. So to this person who is trying to find their voice, and I think the first voice you need to find is a voice that you speak to yourself, like how you speak to yourself. It's more important than what you say to the world. So start looking at yourself and realizing that you're the best of God's creation. And now what will you do about that? What will you do with that? Whether you're a student, you are an employee, you're an employer, you're in government, you're a trader, what will you do about the fact that you, as you are the best of God's creation? And I think that will lead you to where you have to go.
The only thing I'll add to that, I would challenge the person as they're examining themselves to literally write down the thoughts that they have about themselves. And then read them as if they're reading to their child. Just to make it more real. Every thought you have of yourself, when you watch this video, just this week, take what you have said. Literally, no one has to see it. write down what you think of yourself. And then from there, as you mentioned, see what God has to say about you. Put those two together. That's a great place to start.
Yeah, I agree.